Maya Johnson woke up before the sun even thought about rising. Her small apartment was quiet except for the soft breathing of her 6-year-old son Jamal, still curled up asleep. She kissed his forehead gently before tiptoeing to the kitchen to pack his lunch for school. Peanut butter sandwich. Apple slices. A little note that said "I love you, superstar." In her neat handwriting. By the time the first light of morning peeked through the curtains, Maya was already dressed in her blue cleaning uniform, her hair tied back in a tight bun. She took one last look at Jamal, now stirring under his superhero blanket, before whispering to her neighbor, Mrs. Lopez, to keep an eye on him until the school bus came. The city bus ride to work was long, but Maya didn't mind. She used the time to study from her worn-out community college textbook, balancing it on her lap as the bus rumbled down the streets. She was determined to finish her degree someday, even if it took her years. When she arrived at the Montclair Hotel, the fanciest hotel in the city, she clocked in with a tired but hopeful smile. The other cleaners greeted her warmly. They were like family, all of them working hard jobs for little pay, but always looking out for each other. Her shift started in the grand lobby, where marble floors shone like mirrors and chandeliers dripped with crystals. Maya moved quietly, polishing every surface until it gleamed. She wiped fingerprints off glass doors, fluffed pillows in the sitting area, and made sure not a single speck of dust dared to settle where guests might see it. As the day went on, wealthy travelers passed by without glancing her way. Men in tailored suits and women in designer heels stepped around her like she was part of the furniture. But Maya didn't let it bother her. She had learned a long time ago that invisible didn't mean unimportant. During her short break, she sat in the staff room and called Jamal's school to check on him. His teacher said he was doing great in math just like his mom, who secretly loved numbers and dreamed of working with them one day. Maya scribbled equations in the margins of her notebook whenever she had a free moment. When evening came, the hotel buzzed with excitement. A huge party was being set up in the ballroom. Some millionaire was hosting a charity gala. Maya's supervisor asked her to stay late to help with the extra cleaning. It meant missing bedtime with Jamal again, but the overtime pay would cover his new school shoes. As the first guests arrived in glittering gowns and tuxedos, Maya worked even harder, mopping up spills and collecting discarded champagne glasses. The music and laughter swirled around her, but she stayed focused, moving like a shadow in the background. No one at the party knew her name. No one noticed how her arms ached from scrubbing or how her feet throbbed in her old work shoes. But Maya didn't mind. She had a plan. Every dollar she earned was a step closer to a better life for her and Jamal. And though she didn't know it yet, this night, this very ordinary night of hard work, was about to change everything. Because while Maya saw herself as just a cleaner, the world was about to see so much more. The Montclair Hotel had never looked more magnificent. Golden light spilled from every window, casting a warm glow onto the sidewalk where limousines lined up one after another. Each car door that opened released another burst of laughter, another swirl of expensive perfume, another guest dressed in clothes that cost more than Maya made in 3 months. Inside the grand ballroom, crystal chandeliers twinkled like captured stars above the crowd. Ice sculptures melted slowly next to towers of champagne glasses. A string quartet played soft music that floated through the air, mixing with the clinking of silverware and the murmur of important conversations. This was Daniel Kensington's annual charity gala, the biggest event of the year for the city's elite. Maya had been assigned to the entrance hallway, where she moved silently with her cleaning cart. Her job was simple but never-ending: wipe away every smudge on the glass doors, polish the brass handles until they shone, and mop up any spills before they could stain the marble floors. The other cleaners joked that Maya could make a dirty sidewalk look fit for a king, and tonight, she worked with extra care. As the party grew louder, Maya became invisible to the guests stepping around her. A woman in a sequined dress nearly tripped over Maya's mop bucket without so much as an "excuse me." A group of men in tuxedos stood right where she needed to clean, talking loudly about stock prices and golf scores. Maya waited patiently, pressing herself against the wall until they moved. Through the open ballroom doors, Maya caught glimpses of the party. Waiters carried silver trays of fancy appetizers that looked too pretty to eat. A famous news anchor laughed near the dessert table. And in the center of it all stood Daniel Kensington himself, shaking hands and smiling his perfect white smile. Maya didn't resent the rich people enjoying themselves. She just wondered what it would be like to walk through those doors as a guest instead of staff. To wear something beautiful instead of a scratchy uniform. To eat those tiny fancy foods instead of the peanut butter sandwich still waiting in her locker. A sudden crash snapped Maya from her thoughts. Near the entrance, a waiter had dropped an entire tray of champagne flutes. Glass shards and bubbly liquid spread across the floor right in the path of arriving guests. Without thinking, Maya sprang into action. She blocked off the area with her cleaning cart, then knelt to carefully collect the broken pieces. As she worked, she heard heels clicking toward her. Honestly, some people shouldn't be allowed to serve at these events, a woman's voice sneered from above. Maya kept her eyes on her task, used to such comments. But then another voice answered deeper, calmer. Accidents happen to everyone. When Maya looked up, her cleaning rag full of glass shards, she found herself staring into the kind eyes of Daniel Kensington himself. The millionaire host of the party was looking right at her, not through her like most guests did. For one frozen second, their eyes met. Then a loud voice called, "Daniel, the mayor's here." And the moment broke. Daniel gave Maya a small nod before turning away. Maya returned to her work, her heart beating strangely fast. She didn't know it yet, but this tiny moment of connection was like the first domino tipping over. Soon, everything in Maya's careful, difficult life would begin to change. As she dumped the broken glass into the special bin and wiped the last of the sticky champagne from the floor, Maya glanced once more at the glittering party. Somewhere inside, Daniel Kensington was laughing with the mayor. Outside, the night stretched long before her, more cleaning, more invisibility, more hard work. But something felt different now, like the universe had taken a deep breath and was waiting to exhale. Maya squared her shoulders, adjusted her gloves, and went back to work. The night wasn't over yet. The party had reached its peak. Laughter bubbled through the ballroom like the champagne in crystal glasses, and the string quartet had switched to livelier music that made jeweled bracelets jingle as women tapped their feet. Daniel Kensington moved through the crowd like a ship cutting through calm waters. Everyone turned toward him. Everyone wanted his attention. He had shaken at least 100 hands tonight. The mayor, the CEO of the city's biggest bank, a famous actress visiting from Hollywood. But as Daniel excused himself from a conversation about yacht prices, his eyes landed on someone different. Near the grand staircase, a striking woman stood examining a painting on the wall. Her dark skin glowed in the warm light, and she carried herself with such quiet confidence that Daniel assumed she must be someone important. Maybe an art collector? A philanthropist from out of town? Whoever she wasn't wearing the usual glittering party attire. Just simple black pants and a neat white blouse. How refreshing, Daniel thought. Someone who didn't feel the need to show off. He adjusted his tie and made his way over. "Hello there," Daniel said in his most charming voice, the one he used when meeting potential business partners. "I don't believe we've met. Are you one of our special donors?" The woman turned, and Daniel noticed two things at once. First, the small name tag pinned to her blouse that read, Montclair staff. Second, the cleaning spray bottle hooked to the belt of her black pants. Maya looked at the millionaire with polite surprise. She'd been checking the painting frame for dust when he approached. Now she stood perfectly still, her hands clasped professionally in front of her. "Actually, sir," she said in a calm, clear voice, "I work here. I'm part of the cleaning staff." For 3 full seconds, Daniel Kensington, who had never been at a loss for words in his life, could not speak. His face grew warm as he realized his mistake. He'd mistaken a hotel cleaner for a VIP guest. The thought made his stomach twist uncomfortably. But as Daniel looked more closely at Maya, really looked at her, he saw things most people missed. The intelligence in her eyes. The quiet pride in her posture. The way she held his gaze without flinching, even though he was one of the most powerful men in the city and she was just a cleaner. I see. Daniel finally managed. He cleared his throat. Well, you carry yourself with remarkable grace. I don't think I've ever seen someone do their job with such. He searched for the right word.
Dignity.
Maya's eyebrows lifted slightly. In all her years cleaning up after wealthy people, no one had ever stopped to compliment her work ethic. Thank you, Mr. Kensington, she said. Then, because she couldn't resist, she added, the Pollock reproduction you're standing near could use some dusting too. Daniel blinked, then laughed a real, genuine laugh that made several partygoers turn their heads. You know this is a Pollock reproduction? I know it's not the real one, Maya said simply. The hotel manager told us during orientation. The original is in a museum in Chicago. Daniel studied her with new interest. Most of his wealthy friends couldn't tell a Pollock from a Picasso. What's your name? He asked. Maya Johnson. At that moment, Daniel's assistant rushed up. Sir, the auction is starting, and they need you at the podium. Daniel held up a finger to Maya. Wait right here. He hurried off toward the stage, leaving Maya standing by the painting, bewildered. Around her, the party continued unaware. A waiter offered champagne to a giggling socialite. A businessman bragged about his new sports car. No one noticed the quiet exchange between the millionaire and the cleaner. No one could have guessed how this chance meeting would change both their lives. Maya returned to her duties, dusting picture frames and straightening chairs. But every few minutes, her eyes wandered to the stage where Daniel Kensington was now speaking into a microphone, raising money for underprivileged children. She didn't know why, but something told her this wasn't the last time their paths would cross tonight. The thought made her stand a little taller as she worked, her movements still graceful, her posture still perfect, just as Daniel had noticed.
The ballroom buzzed with energy as the charity auction reached its climax, but Daniel Kensington's thoughts kept drifting back to the quiet woman by the Pollock reproduction. There was something about Maya Johnson that didn't add up: her knowledge of art, her poised demeanor, the way she carried herself with such quiet confidence despite wearing a cleaning uniform. As soon as he could politely excuse himself from the auction stage, Daniel wove through the crowd, searching for her. He found Maya in a corner of the lobby, carefully polishing an antique side table that most guests had walked past without noticing. You're still here, Daniel said, surprising Maya as she worked. She looked up, her brown eyes widening slightly before she schooled her features back to professional calm. Of course, Mr. Kensington, Maya replied, setting down her polishing cloth. My shift doesn't end until the last guest leaves. Daniel rocked back on his heels, studying her. Most staff would have given him some canned response and hurried away, but Maya met his gaze evenly. Tell me something, Maya, he said, lowering his voice so nearby partygoers wouldn't overhear. How does someone who recognizes Pollock reproduces end up cleaning hotel lobbies? A shadow passed over Maya's face, so brief Daniel almost missed it. She glanced around at the glittering crowd before answering. Life doesn't always go the way we plan, sir. I was in college when I had my son. His father left and... She shrugged, her hands gesturing to the uniform. This pays the bills. Daniel felt an unexpected pang in his chest. He'd grown up privileged, never worrying where his next meal would come from. The thought of this clearly intelligent woman forced to abandon her education to scrub floors unsettled him. What were you studying? He pressed. Accounting, Maya said, and for the first time, Daniel saw a spark of passion in her eyes. Numbers make sense to me. They're predictable. Honest. A loud burst of laughter from a nearby group of guests made them both glance over. Several wealthy socialites were taking selfies by the grand staircase, oblivious to the quiet conversation happening just feet away. Daniel suddenly felt embarrassed by his own party, by the excess, the waste, the people spending thousands on champagne while Maya worked to support her child. He made a decision right then. Come to my office tomorrow, he said abruptly. 10 o'clock. Kensington Tower, 42nd floor. Maya's polished professional mask slipped completely. Excuse me. I have an entry-level position in my accounting department, Daniel said. The pay is better than here. Benefits. Tuition assistance if you want to finish your degree. Maya's hands trembled slightly as she clutched her cleaning rag. Why would you? Why me? Daniel smiled, glancing at the Pollock reproduction they'd first spoken by. Because anyone who notices the dust on a painting most people ignore is exactly the kind of person I want working for me. For the first time all night, Maya seemed at a loss for words. The sounds of the party faded around them as she processed this unexpected turn of events. Somewhere in the distance, a clock struck midnight, but for Maya Johnson, it might as well have been a new day dawning.
The next morning, Maya stood outside Kensington Tower, wearing her best outfit, a simple navy blue dress she usually saved for church and parent-teacher conferences. She had called in sick to the hotel for the first time in 5 years, her hands shaking as she lied to her supervisor. Jamal had been confused when she dropped him off at school early, dressed up like it was a special occasion. The elevator ride to the 42nd floor felt like it took forever. Maya watched the numbers light up one after another, her stomach doing nervous flips with each passing floor. What was she even doing here? A man like Daniel Kensington probably forgot about her the moment he left his party. Maybe this was some kind of mistake. Maybe security would stop her when she got off the elevator. But when the doors opened, a friendly receptionist greeted her by name. "Ms. Johnson? Mr. Kensington is expecting you. Right this way." Daniel's office was nothing like Maya expected. Instead of a cold, modern space full of glass and metal, it was warm and inviting, with books lining the shelves and family photos on the desk. Daniel himself stood up when she entered, smiling like she was an old friend. "You came," he said, sounding genuinely pleased. "I wasn't sure you would." Maya sat carefully in the chair he offered, her back straight, hands folded in her lap. "To be honest, sir, I'm not entirely sure why I'm here." Daniel poured them both coffee from a silver carafe. "Tell me about yourself, Maya. The real story, not just the cleaning job version." And so Maya found herself talking in a way she hadn't in years. She told him about growing up in a small apartment with her grandmother, about loving numbers because they always followed the rules when people didn't. She explained how she got pregnant in her second year of college, how the father disappeared when she refused to take care of the problem, how she'd left school to work double shifts so Jamal could have diapers and formula. Daniel listened without interrupting, his expression growing more impressed as she spoke. When she finished, he leaned forward, his elbows on the desk. "Maya, I'm going to be blunt. My company needs people like you. People who understand hard work. People who don't give up when life gets difficult." He opened a folder on his desk. "I have an opening in our accounting department. Entry level, but with room to grow. The pay is..." He named a figure that made Maya's breath catch. "Full benefits. And we have a tuition assistance program if you want to finish your degree." Maya's hands trembled around her coffee cup. This couldn't be real. People like her didn't get offers like this. "Why me?" she whispered. Daniel sat back, considering his answer. "Because when I saw you at that party, you weren't just cleaning floors. You were taking pride in your work. Because when I asked about the painting, you knew exactly what it was. Because when that champagne spilled, you handled it quickly and quietly while everyone else just complained." He tapped the folder. "Skills can be taught. Character can't." Maya thought of Jamal, of the tiny apartment with its leaky faucet, of the way she had to say no to field trips because the fees were too much. She thought of her old accounting textbooks gathering dust under her bed. Then she thought of something her grandmother used to say, "When opportunity knocks, child, you don't ask why, you say thank you and get to work." Maya took a deep breath and looked Daniel Kensington straight in the eye. "When would you like me to start?" The next 2 weeks passed in a whirlwind for Maya. Giving notice at the hotel had been bittersweet. Her supervisor scoffed at first, certain she was lying about her new job until Daniel Kensington's HR department called to verify her employment. The other cleaners threw her a small party in the staff break room, presenting her with a second-hand briefcase they'd all chipped in to buy. On her first morning at Kensington Enterprises, Maya arrived 45 minutes early, her palms sweating as she clutched the briefcase. The security guard smiled as he handed her a shiny new ID badge with her photo and title, Maya Johnson, accounting assistant. The plastic felt heavy in her hands, solid and real in a way that finally made this all seem true. Daniel had arranged for her to be mentored by Linda Carter, the no-nonsense head of the accounting department. Linda turned out to be a woman in her 60s who didn't suffer fools but recognized potential when she saw it. Kensington says you've got a head for numbers, Linda said by way of greeting on that first day. She slid a stack of invoices across the desk. Prove it. Maya worked through her lunch hour that day, determined to show she belonged. By afternoon, Linda was nodding approvingly at her spreadsheets. Not bad, Johnson. Not bad at all. That evening, Maya practically floated home. She stopped at the grocery store and, for the first time, didn't have to put anything back at the register. She bought Jamal's favorite cereal, the name-brand kind she could never justify before. She even picked up a small chocolate cake from the bakery section. When Jamal came home from after-school care, he froze in the doorway, his eyes wide at the sight of the cake on their tiny kitchen table. "Whose birthday is it?" he asked suspiciously. Maya scooped him up, spinning him around until they both laughed. "It's our new beginning, superstar." She told him all about her first day, about her big desk with the comfortable chair, about the cafeteria that served real food, about how she could see the whole city from her office window. Jamal listened with growing excitement, his little face glowing when Maya explained she'd be home every night for dinner now. "No more late shifts?" he asked, hardly daring to believe it. "No more late shifts," Maya promised, kissing the top of his head. She showed him the employee handbook, flipping to the page about the tuition assistance program. "And one day soon, Mommy's going to finish her degree." That night, as she tucked Jamal into bed, he looked up at her with sleepy eyes. "Mommy, does this mean we're rich now?" Maya smoothed his hair back. "Not rich, baby. But we're going to be okay. Really, truly okay." As she turned out the light, Maya realized it was the first time in years she wasn't worried about how she'd pay next month's rent. The future stretched before her, bright with possibilities. She had so much to learn at her new job, so many skills to master. But for the first time in a long time, Maya Johnson went to sleep knowing she was exactly where she was meant to be. The morning sun streamed through the windows of Maya's new apartment as she adjusted the silk scarf around her neck. A year had passed since that fateful night at the Montclair Hotel, and today was special for two reasons: her promotion ceremony at Kensington Enterprises and Jamal's first visit to her alma mater, where she would finally complete her accounting degree. The apartment itself was a testament to how much had changed. No more leaky faucets or peeling paint. Jamal now had his own bedroom painted his favorite shade of blue, filled with books and the occasional toy Maya could now afford. The framed diploma hanging in their living room wasn't hers yet, that would come next semester, but it was the certificate from her accounting training program, signed by Daniel Kensington himself. At the office, Maya had become something of a legend. The cleaning staff who had known her at the Montclair now greeted her with proud smiles when she passed them in the halls. She made sure to always remember their names, to ask about their families. When Daniel created a new program to help entry-level workers advance, it was Maya he put in charge of selecting the first candidates. "Looking sharp, Johnson," Linda said as Maya entered the accounting department that morning. The older woman had become both mentor and friend, the one who stayed late to help Maya prepare for her certification exams. The promotion ceremony was held in the company atrium. As Daniel spoke about Maya's journey from cleaner to accountant, she saw Jamal in the front row, his little chest puffed out with pride. When Daniel mentioned how Maya had helped implement the new mentorship program, several of the custodial staff in attendance broke into spontaneous applause. After the ceremony, as they walked to the car for their college visit, Jamal slipped his hand into Maya's. "Mom," he said seriously, "when I grow up, I want to be just like you." Maya's eyes stung with happy tears as she squeezed his hand. She thought back to that exhausted woman mopping floors a year ago, too tired to dream. She thought of Daniel seeing something in her when no one else had. Most of all, she thought of all the people like her still out there, just waiting for someone to recognize their worth. As they drove toward the university, Maya made a silent promise to keep opening doors for others the way Daniel had opened one for her. The future stretched before them, bright as the morning sun, full of possibilities neither of them had dared imagine before. And when Jamal asked if they could stop for ice cream on the way home, Maya didn't even check her wallet before saying yes. The end.